For the longest time, this was the earliest Peter Jackson movie that I ever saw, before Meet the Feebles. And this was his first medium to big budget picture. All the others before that were independent. This was the movie that he made before he started work on The Lord of the Rings. Well, actually, after this one, he was to make King Kong, but that project fell through after Universal got cold feet when Mighty Joe Young and Godzilla '98 didn't do very well at the box office. Oh, and fun fact, the script for Kong at the time was very action-oriented, and its tone more akin to The Mummy. That's funny. This version of the Frighteners I'm covering is the extended cut, or sometimes called the director's cut, and was originally released on Laserdisc, and for a while, it was only available in that format until its release in 2005 on DVD to coincide with the release of King Kong. Now that Laserdisc edition is very special. He did with that what he would essentially do with the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit trilogies, and even King Kong, which he would include commentaries and hours-long documentaries. That Laserdisc edition of the Frighteners, by the way, is now a collector's item. We open to a woman named Patricia Bradley, played by Dee Wallace Stone, being chased by what looks like a demonic force that can interact with anything in the house. The rampage finally comes to an end when her mother blows it away with a fucking shotgun.
The wicked will be punished.
The town of Fairwater, which I believe is in California, but it's really in New Zealand, is experiencing a strange health crisis. There's an ongoing series of deaths that has claimed the lives of 30 people in less than 4 years.
Doctors are baffled as to why seemingly fit and healthy people are suffering massive heart attacks.
The FBI is very concerned about these deaths. They look like heart attacks, but when they slice these people open, their arteries are just clean as a whistle.
Looking to take advantage of this situation is Frank Bannister, played by Michael J. Fox. He is a former architect now acting as a psychic investigator. What he is really doing is running a scam. What he does is that he gets his ghost friends Cyrus, played by Chi McBride, Stuart, played by Jim Fife, and Judge, played by John Astin, to haunt houses. Then Frank will go in and exorcise the houses at exorbitant prices. All this to complete a house that will never get finished. As an aside, I know John Astin is known for playing Gomez Addams, but Raul Julia is the one that I will most fondly remember in that role. Frank is rather shameless about his job too, as he gives out business cards during a funeral. He's also one of the worst drivers ever, running off the road, cutting into funeral processions, and of course, crashing into the fence of Ray Linsky, played by Peter Dobson.
Oh my God, I don't believe this. This is not happening. My lawn, you ruptured my lawn.
Give me a call. Pay for the damages.
You're damn right you're gonna pay, because I'm gonna sue your ass.
Let's not get litigious, all right?
How come you didn't see the corner coming, stupid moron? Listen, buddy, this is gonna cost you big time.
I love how little of a shit Frank gives here.
I want this lawn completely resurfaced for Tucka Matamosa. Alfonso, I got your license plate number, you bastard!
We then cut to Dr. Lucy Linsky, Ray's wife, played by Trini Alvarado. She is at the Bradley home to treat a cut on Patricia's hand. Lucy suspects abuse being done to Patricia by her mother.
Who did that to you?
I think you better go now, Dr. Linsky. Patricia's not to be trusted.
I beg your pardon?
They said she was an accessory after the fact. I know the truth. It was cold-blooded murder.
Ooh, she's right, you know.
At home, Lucy watches a tape talking about how serial killer Johnny Bartlett gunned down 12 people in 27 minutes decades prior in Fairwater Sanatorium. She sees that Patricia was implicated in the killings and sentenced to life in prison, but was later given a conditional release as long as she stays in the family home. And Lucy feels bad for her. But Ray doesn't.
Should have fried her when they fried Bartlett.
He's right, you know.
She was 15 years old, you know. She just fell in love with the wrong guy. It happened to anyone.
You would know, wouldn't you, Lucy? Poor girl.
But things start to get hilariously spooky in the house, and thanks to one of the ghosts putting one of Frank's business cards in the room, Frank is called in to clear the house.
Persistent residue of the departed. Always a problem this time of year. Okay, well, folks, I can do a clearance, but it's not going to be cheap. Although I do offer a 6-month guarantee. $249.95. 30% surcharge for making a house call after midnight. Although we could forget about the fence, call the whole thing even.
What's funny here is that Ray knows Frank is full of shit, but he just doesn't know that he's only half right. But that doesn't matter, as Lucy seems to find all this quite funny, and she believes in Frank. After he finishes his work, Frank notices a number on Ray's forehead.
What the hell are you staring at?
What's with the number?
What number?
Look, if you're trying to freak me out, it's not gonna work, okay?
Frank gets back home and yeah, his house is an unfinished disaster. It will never get done. Frank knows it, but won't let it go even though he needs to. This makes him bitter. It's a reflection of his own mental state, and this leads him to mistreat his ghost friends, and even just people around him in general.
Man, I hate that trunk!
Yeah, well, I don't want you guys spreading your ectoplasmic muck all over my car seat.
I'm sorry about your puss yellow piece of shit Volvo, but we ain't riding in the damn trunk no more, you understand?
Start pulling your weight, guys. You're going back to the cemetery.
I'm about to go like Jesse on your ass.
That fellow takes us totally for granted. We're supposed to be his business partners.
Flies. That's what you give me, Stuart. Why is it that flies stick to you guys like shit to a blanket?
Now, Frank, we gotta talk about cigars. You've been promising me a box for I don't know how long.
Josh, I hate to break this to you, but you're dead, you know? You can't smoke.
You can light them up and blow the smoke in my face.
If I light up a cigar, I'll blow my lunch in your face.
Give it up, Frank. Death ain't no way to make a living.
Well, Judge, I gotta finish this house.
You ain't never gonna finish this house. You ain't never gonna finish nothing.
He's right, you
Hannah, shut up and go away!
never.
Frank gets a letter from the bank saying they want 15 grand or they'll take the house away.
Well, cool. About time we ditch this drafty-ass crib and move to someplace nice.
This is serious shit, okay? This is my house. I'm not losing it.
So he tries another haunting on a very rich home. The problem is, the homeowner is wise to the scheme, as the press revealed him to be a fraud. Which he is, and newspaper boss Magda Reese-Jones rightfully calls him out on it.
You're a parasite, Mr. Bannister, and people should be warned.
Yeah, well, I got a right to offer my services to the public.
The last thing the people of Fairwater need is some two-bit charlatan promising to pass on bogus messages from the other side.
I'm just trying to make a living.
Living? Not a word you'd know a lot about, is it, Mr. Bannister?
After a Peter Jackson cameo, Frank sees that Ray has died, and now as a ghost wants Frank's help.
Why didn't you take the corridor? Corridor of light. Passageway to the other side.
Because I don't belong on the other side. Jesus Christ, I'm only 29.
Want to tell me what happened?
I was on the rowing machine. I felt this vice-like grip just squeezing my heart.
After going through the graveyard and experiencing an Arlie Ermy cameo, playing his character from Full Metal Jacket, okay, his name is Hiles in the movie, but he's Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. Frank and Ray get to the funeral, and this was always funny to me. Seeing Ray cry at his own funeral is just funny, and this bit right here never fails to make me laugh.
Oh, sweetheart, don't cry. Oh, shit. Whoa!
It was one of those moments that I remember most as a kid when my brothers were watching this movie. Lucy goes to see Frank to see if he has a message from Ray, and well, I think this is the part of the movie where Frank's Grinch heart starts to grow. Oh, and before I continue, there was a creature that got cut from the finished movie, the Gatekeeper. He's a big, fat, cherub bully baby thing that would work with Hiles, the drill sergeant, to keep order in the graveyard. And he even works to try to prevent Frank from helping Lucy in the graveyard later in the film. His first appearance was to be when Frank takes Ray to the funeral.
Ray, god damn it. Hey, what did I just tell you, huh?
Hey, stop!
Ah!
State your business.
Yeah, he's with me.
You're not welcome here, Bannister.
Oh, come on, it's the guy's funeral. It'll be 10 minutes tops. Give him a break, huh?
The Gatekeeper was removed because he just wasn't needed, as I think Hiles would be enough to manage a graveyard. He also just looked out of place compared to everything else. We certainly didn't feel the absence of any Gatekeeper in the final film. Frank goes to the restaurant where Lucy and Ray were to have their anniversary, and apart from Lucy learning more from and connecting with Frank...
Why is it that you can see Ray and I can't?
I was in an accident, a car accident, about 5 years ago. I don't know, they say that sometimes when you have a traumatic experience, alter your perception.
Really? So after that, you could just see spirits? I mean, what happened?
We get a clearer picture of her marriage to Ray.
May I offer you some wine?
Red. We always have red.
White. I've never been fond of red.
Lucy!
Ray, I really need to know where you invested my money. 16,000.
Oh, shit. I blew it on a bad investment.
It's gone. He blew it on a bad investment.
Asshole!
It's just like Ray to just take the money and run. I haven't been honest with each other in a long time, Mr. Bannister. It wasn't what you would call a good marriage.
That sucks. We even got that feeling when they were in their home at the beginning.
She was 15 years old, you know. She just fell in love with the wrong guy. Could happen to anyone.
I don't want you going back up there. Place gives me the creeps.
I really don't think that you should...
Frank goes to the bathroom and he sees a demonic force in the shape of the Grim Reaper claim the life of this poor patron. Frank chases after the Reaper, but this looks suspicious to the police as he took off at high speed after the man was found dead.
Hey, Walt. Bannister was last seen in the restaurant parking lot. He took off at high speed.
Bring him in.
Lucy is brought into the station for questioning, and this is where the nuttiest character of the film is introduced. Special Agent Milton Dammers of the FBI, played by Dr. Herbert West himself, Jeffrey Combs.
At what time, precisely, did Bannister leave for the bathroom?
I'm not sure, precisely.
Did he use excessive amounts of table salt during his meal?
What?
Answer.
For Christ's sakes, it's really late. I can't remember that, okay?
Special Agent Dammers has over 20 years' experience in the area of paranormal psychology.
He lays out Frank Bannister's history. He was a once successful architect who got into a fight with his wife Deborah after laying the foundation for a basketball court when he promised her that space for a garden. During a heated argument in the car, they ran off the road. Frank was found away from the wreck all dazed and confused, but sadly, Deborah died.
Deborah's corpse had the number 13 carved into his forehead. Unlucky for some.
And that deed was done by a utility knife that was in the back of Frank's car, but is now missing. Frank and his friends follow the Reaper to a museum, where one of Magda Reese-Jones's colleagues at the newspaper has just died.
There's no money for you here, Mr. Bannister.
You're next.
Are you threatening me?
That's not what I'm saying.
He is threatening
Bannister!
me!
Oh, great.
During a sequence where Cyrus, Stewart, and Judge assist Frank with their antics to help him escape, as well as 2 cops firing at Frank even though he's not really a threat, and should be fired for firing their guns as carelessly as they are, and destroying priceless artifacts in the process, Judge gets killed by the Reaper. And by killed, I mean just sent back to the afterlife. And Frank tries to get Magda to safety, but it doesn't work. The Reaper sends the car off the road, and it not only kills Magda, but Frank relives the day of his wife's death.
Is this how you get your kicks? Did it feel good killing her? It feel good killing your wife? You're a murderer!
Oh, fun fact, in the blooper reel in the documentary, Michael J. Fox had a very funny habit.
I think one of the funniest bloopers that that happened in the Frighteners, and it happened a couple of times, was when Michael forgot what film he was in.
Little cook in the Pony Express, huh, Doc? Whoa! I called him Doc. It's fucking backwards.
Hey, boys! Free bomb!
Doc! Doc, I did it again.
Oh, and this little bit is funny too.
Sit. And action! Here's Johnny. I had to just do one. Sorry.
Something I need to mention is that the rules of how the ghosts operate are not altogether clear. When they stay on Earth, they, to varying degrees, continue to rot, leaking ectoplasm.
In about a year's time, you're gonna get a chance to go through the other side again to become what's known as a pure spirit. But in the meantime, you're what's known as an earthbound emanation, a rotting cloud of bioplasmic particles dripping ectoplasm.
And they have to get used to interacting with human environments as a ghost. Frank even has to help Ray several times during this. But ghosts can bleed when shot, can make guns and fire them, and those can hurt other ghosts? And the Reaper can kill other ghosts as well. And by doing so, it sends them to the afterlife? Now, this could be a case where I'm overthinking some of this. Too much explanation here would probably be too distracting, and all this stuff never bothered me when I was younger. Not that I was looking for stuff like that then, and it doesn't really bother me now, but it does feel a touch random at times. We cut back to the station where Frank turns himself in. This bit is pretty funny.
I don't believe you'll get very far. We've got the state line covered.
I seriously doubt we will see Mr. Bannister anytime soon. The man is resourceful beyond anything you can comprehend.
Sadly, Frank is defeated at this point, and he tells Lucy to piss off.
Am I a nice guy, Lucy? Because that cozy little scene in the restaurant was bullshit. Because I don't give a damn about you. I don't give a damn about anybody.
What the hell are you saying?
Go home.
But she doesn't give up, and she does her own investigative work. Dammers questions Frank and believes he is the one responsible for all the murders in the town. How?
Have you ever heard of Nina Kolagina? Nina Kolagina, with the power of her mind, stopped the beat of a frog's heart. The record of this experiment is currently held in the files of Professor Gennady Sergeyev. It seemed to him that the heart had experienced a sudden flare-up of electrical activity. The arteries burst, and all because Nina Kolagina wanted the animal dead. 28 cases involved crushed hearts. That started in 1990 with your beautiful wife. This death figure is nothing more than a homicidal alter ego that satisfies your compulsion to kill.
Okay, but he manages to break Frank for a bit. So much so that Stu and Cyrus can't get through to him. Meanwhile, Lucy goes to Frank's place to, well, see that it's a total mess. Ray is there too, and he learns that he was right that Frank was scamming them.
Look at this. He set us up, Lucy. The man set us up.
But Lucy isn't looking for that. She instead finds a pretty beautiful garden put in where the basketball court was going to go. Frank clearly feels guilty about what happened to Deborah and his part in it, and put that up for her.
Perfectly good basketball court gone to pot.
Man, even in death, Ray is still a jerk.
Well, you know, Ray is kind of a jerk, especially to people like Frank who mess with the perfection of his lawn. But he's not a monster. I would say he's self-centered and oblivious and concerned about the wrong things. He does love Lucy, but is completely unaware of her hesitation towards him or how her feelings towards him have changed. Watching this as an adult, I can see why Lucy could have fallen in love with him. He's handsome and confident, but he has a habit of speaking for her and not listening to her. Really, the communication between them is just not there. And even if she did tell him, I'm thinking Ray wouldn't really hear it. It's definitely a one-way street between the two, and that's a major reason for marriages failing. It's just sad that he didn't figure this out before he kicked the bucket. And look, he wants to stick around and take care of Lucy because he still believes that's his job. That's a good thing. He's even willing to sacrifice himself for Lucy. You know, kind of. It's a thought that counts. And you know, he was right about Frank being a con man. And he was right about the creepy house on the hill. All in all, he's really not that bad.
Lucy overhears Frank's message machine. Remember when those were a thing? Where Patricia Bradley's mother is asking him for help to drive out an evil spirit. Lucy heads to the Bradley residence, and there Patricia lays on the sob story.
My father killed himself after the murders. Mother says it was my fault, so I have to keep his ashes in my room. Oh my God. She says I'm evil, just like Johnny.
While hiding from the mother in order for Patricia to buy time for Lucy to escape, Lucy finds Frank Bannister's knife that was missing from his car on the day Deborah died. Sad thing is though, while Lucy is escaping, Ray gets killed by the Reaper. She goes to the police station to tell Frank all this. I'm surprised the police would let her visit a prisoner, but okay. It's a bit of work to snap him out of it.
Do you think that you're the only person who's ever lost somebody? God, you walk around like you don't have any feelings, but the truth is that you're just scared. Goddamn hypocrite. Why are you doing this? What are you afraid of, Frank?
I don't want to hurt you, Lucy.
Oh, that's crap. Don't give me that. Look at me.
This is nice. He sees someone cares about him, and this will in turn get him out of his apathy towards others. You know, actually doing something good with his gift, like put a stop to all the killings, otherwise they'll just go on and on and on. I think it was at Ray's funeral that changed him, or at least started to change him. There, he was actually paying attention to people and their sorrow, particularly Lucy's. Overall, it was a good thing that he got exposed as a fraud. I don't think it's likely he would ever grow if he wasn't.
No, no, I'd be outside. This shit is like walking in on your parents.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll just be outside. Whoa!
Well, the Reaper comes to claim Lucy, but with help from Cyrus and Stu, and even Lucy incapacitating Dammers, they escape from jail. But 1, Lucy is still the Reaper's target, and 2, Cyrus and Stu got taken by the Reaper. Frank wants to help, but he can't in physical form, so he has to do so as a spirit. How? Well, not like this. She has a better idea. Lucy has the idea of freezing him to temporarily cause death, so he can assist Lucy in fighting the Reaper as a spirit.
You'll have 20 minutes, Max, and any longer than that, and there's a danger of tissue damage. Frank, you don't have to do this.
Lucy, better close the door, huh?
Lucy unfortunately gets grabbed by Dammers, who intends to keep her away from Frank so he can freeze to death. And in this scene, Dammers breaks down for a beat and lays out for Lucy how he became as loony as he is.
My body is a roadmap of pain.
We created this character who was like this FBI agent who the government have sent in to, you know, to break and to bust cults and sects, and he's been doing this for like 15 years, and he's the guy that always just gets sent in to go undercover for 6 months before they crack the case, you know, and the problem with Dammers is that they haven't deprogrammed him in between missions. They have given him no therapy whatsoever in the last 15 years, and the poor guy has just like sacrificed his sort of like his personality for his country.
1974. Children of Lucifer. 3 years undercover, drinking goat's blood.
You know, as horrible as that has been for him, Jeffrey Combs kind of makes it oddly funny, especially when he does this.
But pain has its reward. The power of the mind
is absolute.
I'm doing this? I'm making the car move with the power of my mind!
Combs said that he had a heavy hand in creating his character, even working with the prop department to come up with the tattoos and damages to his body. And of course, they have to give Dammers chronic hemorrhoids. The cushion he uses in the car is pretty self-explanatory, but there was even a clever hint to it earlier in the film. When Dammers is interrogating Frank, he tries to sit down in the chair for a bit but instantly gets up. Frank shows up to help Lucy, and in the nick of time too. He warns it off using Hiles' guns. Oh yeah, Hiles got sliced in half earlier by the Reaper. And we see that the actual killer is Johnny Bartlett, played by Jake Busey.
I thought guys like you frighten hell.
I got out, Frank. I've been carrying on the good work. Got me a score of 40.
In this fight right here with some admittedly very dated CGI, Frank almost finishes Johnny off, but is awoken before freezing to death.
I didn't get him. Johnny Bartlett. He's killing again.
Patricia.
Lucy rushes to the Bradley residence, where we see that Patricia and Johnny are still in cahoots and just want to continue their murder spree.
That asswipe psychic nearly ruined it for us tonight, Patty.
You're gonna be okay, Patricia.
Now, shut up. That Russian cannibal creep's running around saying he did 50 plus.
Patronizing do-gooder, bitch.
You kill her. I'll watch.
Patricia begins that night by killing her mother and then going after Lucy. Frank arrives to help, and they manage to trap Johnny back in the urn that originally Patricia said was her father's.
We gotta get these to the other side. What? Church. We gotta get them to a church.
There's a chapel. There's a chapel in the old hospital.
While searching the old hospital for the chapel, while trying to avoid Patricia and her shotgun, Frank gets visions of Johnny and Patricia gunning down all these poor people. Why? It's just a game to get a high score. That's it. No other reason. They're just rotten to the core, plain and simple. Oh, and remember when Lucy said this earlier?
She was 15 years old, you know. She just fell in love with the wrong guy.
No, Johnny and Patricia are perfect for each other. A literal match made in hell. Frank and Lucy are so close to achieving their goal of releasing Johnny's ashes in the chapel to send him to the other side when Dammers gets the urn and ruins everything.
Give me the goddamn urn, Dammers!
You have to get these ashes to consecrated ground in order to destroy the forces of evil.
Oops.
You are such an asshole.
I'm an asshole.
With a noose.
Get out! Now, I don't want to shoot you in the back. Turn around! As an agent of the United States government, I am ordering you to turn around!
Patricia hilariously blows Dammers' head off. Frank falls through several floors and somehow makes it through alive, and eventually realizes that Johnny and Patricia were the ones that killed Deborah.
You're next, pal.
Patricia strangles Frank with the shotgun after she finally ran out of shells. Seriously, where was she keeping those the whole time? And it looks like it's curtains for Lucy.
You bitch! Get your girlfriend, Johnny! Johnny! You coward!
It looks like they're going back, but Cyrus and Stu show Frank that they're being taken to hell. And yes, this looks nasty.
The old express bus to hell. No lines, no wait.
Despite all the cool stuff that is promised in heaven,
Excellent libraries.
Premium cigars.
And of course, the honeys.
Yeah, about that. Stu's a regular chick magnet up here.
Frank is not to stay there, as Deborah says he needs to go home.
Start living, dude.
Whoa.
Be happy.
He gets back to Lucy, and, well, things are looking up. They tear down the house as he doesn't need it anymore, and Lucy says she can see ghosts too.
Boy, that Dammers, he sure looks pissed.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Frank, you see, when you go through a traumatic experience, it kind of alters your perception.
No.
There was an additional part to the ending where Frank sees Judge ride off into the sunset on the ghost dog. Or at least his top half rides the dog, whereas his legs do their own thing. But the film was running too long, so this and some other material with Judge was cut. Which is why I think in the final version, He's really sent to the afterlife along with Stu, Cyrus, and Ray when killed by the Reaper. The Frighteners is a special movie. It's one that I saw as a kid thanks to my older brothers, and like Army of Darkness, it always stuck with me. I had never seen anything like it. I was completely engaged with it, especially since it looked like something that would give me nightmares. It may not be a great or a brilliant movie, but it's the kind of movie that you can put on as a kind of comfort movie when you just want to relax. Despite the dark turns it takes, it is a pretty funny movie with lots of charm, engaging characters, and a great atmosphere that makes it perfect to watch during Halloween. I do have to admit though that it is a bit messy in parts. Like I said, the movie is funny, but there are plenty of times when the comedy is a bit much, such as with Frank's ghost friends and their antics. Peter Jackson has always had a problem with balancing comedy in a lot of his films, and this one is no exception. But where the comedy does land, it works. There's also what I feel are some loose ends. I know the police captain, Walt, is Frank's friend and all, but I doubt even he would be able to sweep Frank escaping the police station under the rug. And it would have been cool to have some follow-up in the press talking about the killings stopping unexpectedly, and asking the question as to whether or not the town is free from the curse or something like that. Something to tie it to the beginning. And I do wish there was a scene or some small moments where Frank stopped mistreating his ghost friends, and they start behaving like friends before they're sent back. It would make the goodbye at the end have some more weight. Oh well, I still really like this movie, warts and all, and I think you will too. Give it a shot.
Daniel?
Yeah?
Do you mind if I give just a couple little thoughts on this?
Why not?
I'm not much of a horror movie enthusiast. I really don't like the current stock of horror films either, especially where it's all jump scares and blood and gore. But I like this movie, I always have. Even as a little kid, I thought this film was fascinating, and just like Daniel, it wasn't one that gave me nightmares. It actually inspired my imagination quite a bit. I've thought about this film off and on growing up and into my adult years, always thinking about how this movie presented some scary ideas, but it wasn't steeped in drama entirely. Like, it wasn't deadly serious from beginning to end like some horror films, or pretty much anything on TV nowadays. It's so exhausting. To me as a kid, this meant that even in the worst of situations, there is good to be found. Michael J. Fox has such a great stage presence and plays the the wounded shyster really well. I think if another actor had been given this role, the film wouldn't have done as well, and it really wouldn't have been as memorable to me. Honestly, I think I love this film because Michael J. Fox made it what it is. Maybe I had a crush on him, maybe I didn't, I'm not telling. Daniel has really summed up this movie really well, so there's not much else I can say here apart from the fact that I believe The Frighteners should be on your go-to list for spooky season every year.